Good morning. My name's Deb, drug addict, alcoholic. Wow, there's a lot of people here. So I've done this work with sponsors. I've gone through all 12 steps. I'm just trying to get my bearings here because I'm kind of scared. So I've gone through all 12 steps. Doing this work, I have a higher power. It's God, which I connect with every second of the day if I can. I try to. I finished all my amends. I practice every step with all my heart. I write a daily inventory. I report to a sponsor. She wants me to report every week, but sometimes I try to slide through that. Self-will. We're talking about it in this chapter too. So I work with women. I have a home group, and I do commitments when I'm asked. So I don't know why I'm scared, but I always kind of get a little scared, and I think it's just ego. You don't want to fail. So I'm just going to throw that out there because everything that's in this process is about truth. And so, there it is. So, thanks, Jimmy. You give me a 20-minute timer so I don't blab on?
Sure.
Thank you so much. So, more about alcoholism for me. This chapter is about lying. It's about me lying to you, me lying to myself, me lying to anybody. But that's what it's about for me. The step reads that our lives have become unmanageable. And they say unmanageable, and they try to describe to us in this chapter about unmanageability. And so why do we care? Who cares? Well, I care because when I came in, I didn't think I was unmanageable. Even though I'd done X, Y, Z, all kinds of things, I still thought, I can get this thing. So this chapter is written for me to keep saying over and over again, hey, you're the jaywalker. No, I'm not. And I would just keep managing my life, and I'd be miserable, but I couldn't quite get a handle on it. I didn't know why. I just couldn't stop relapsing. So I'll just go a little bit about my background, because I think that part is, it's not as relevant as recovery, as the solution, but it's there. It brought me here. At my own hand, I used to a point where I was physically sick and mentally nuts. And but that's not what brought me in this program. And this really tells you a lot about me. What brought me in the program is I started to look sick. See, it wasn't a big deal that I was sick and my guts were all messed up. My hair was falling out. Now we have an issue. So this is the truth. So I started to look green. I was at work and people would say, "Oh, your skin, what's wrong?" I was getting really sick. And when people started to notice, and then the kicker was I started to hear things and see things. So people started to think I was nuts. So now, you guys are starting to, not you guys are my peeps. Those guys out there started to see that there was something really wrong with me. Then I needed to go and do something about it. This was even after I had more than one overdose and, smashing, crashing, and all that other stupid stuff that goes with it. So I come in, and the book describes me as mangled. So I come in here, and I'm mangled, and I ask for help. And even in asking for help, this is such a good chapter. They talk more about alcoholism. And what the chapter means to me is, it's not just my drink. It's what I do in my life when I'm sick and I don't have a solution. What am I going to do? I'm going to, even if I'm on my knees and I'm sick and this is my last breath, I'm still going to try, this is just me, to lie to you. I'm still going to try to get something so it's not going to be as painful, so you don't have to see me as clearly, so I don't have to act as real. I still wanted to do that even when I walked in here and I was desperate. And what I mean by that is I had someone who wanted to work with me, and the first thing I did to her is I lied to her. So it's funny, huh? The book tells us over and over again, we can do this spiritual program or we can die. Oh, let me think about it. I thought about, I went to a meeting Thursday, and that's what came to my head then too, and I even said that at the meeting, that it's so insane that that's where I was, that I had to think about whether or not I wanted to be fearless and honest. I wanted to come to the table and say something that was true and really address this disease that I have. And so I was lucky. I was really mangled, and I did get beat up, and I did do this work, but I did it all to myself. It's not like somebody did something to me. I don't even care what happened in my background. Some of this stuff was really lousy, but I'm not a victim, all right? I have tools to work through this. So more about alcoholism talks about the real alcoholic. I am the real alcoholic. And so I am grateful, as twisted as it sounds, for alcoholism, because I'm different. And difference means I've had a spiritual experience. I'm willing to listen today. So it says in the book that I have to fully concede to myself, to my innermost self, that I'm an alcoholic. And that's the first step of recovery. And that's really interesting because I had to say to myself, I am an alcoholic. Not just say it in the microphone, not just say it in a meeting. Deep down inside, that this is something that I can't fix on my own, that I need something else to help me fix it. And the something else isn't going to come from the brain that told me it was okay to shoot up or drink or smash my car or sleep with someone's husband or whatever I was going to do, that this was going to be the solution. It wasn't this brain. It was this connection to this source that I couldn't put my finger on. And I didn't know where the source was, but I knew that you guys knew where that source was because you were smiling and you pissed me off. But everyone seemed to have some kind of direction and focus. And that's why they call it more about alcoholism. So it's not just me drinking, ruining my life. It's me drinking. Yes, I ruined my life, but there's a solution. Am I ready to hear it? You know, have I been through this stuff long enough? Am I ready to hear it? Not just with my mouth, but in my heart. Which means, am I ready to do this work? They call it the process. You know, am I ready to do this work and not just do it through the 12 steps, but continue to do it like in my cells every day for the rest of my life? And that particularly means not for people that are in here. This means to someone who's like not nice to me out there. What comes to mind immediately was my mother. My mother is sick and she's emotional. And maybe that's where I get it. I'm always crying all the time. But so she got really mad at me a couple of days ago. And I mean, she was enraged, screaming, pounding her hands. And I looked at her and she looked like a child having a temper tantrum. And in the moment, I could have been the Deb that was there before this program. But see, we're talking more about alcoholism. The program talks to me every day of my life, all the time, every interaction I have. So there's my mother screaming at me, and there's my role model. Okay, gotcha. And then I don't know what happened. God always comes to me. God's so good. I just looked at her, and I could see that she was afraid. She was sad. She was what? I can't read her mind. I'm just going to guess. And so what I did was I just stayed present and used this program. You know? I didn't become Jim or anybody else and run around and try to manage. I just sat there and tried to do what I had to do, which was nothing. Just give healthy boundaries and speak my truth. Amazing. That would not have happened to me before, because as we learn more about alcoholism, isn't, like I said, just the alcohol. It's what goes on here and how I substitute, you know, that spiritual process, that God shot. I use that to guide me into what I do in my life. So it says here that this drinking, the reason I got in here was because I was led by a pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. And so I looked up those words, and they resonate with me because I'm never there anymore. I'm just never there anymore. Ever since I did this work, I'm just not there. I'm other places, like maybe sad or whatever, but I'm never that deep and that sad and that low. So it's miserable, unmanageable confusion. You know, I'm not that bad anymore, ever. Now, any day, like my dad died in May, my mother's sick, we all have stuff, right? We have stuff, and I get sad about stuff like that, and I can get really sad, but never am I at a place where I want to hurt you or hurt myself anymore. I just don't. I'm just not there. And that has everything to do with this work. When I talked about this chapter is about lying to myself, they describe, this is how I perceive it, they describe different ways so we will see, as we're sitting here and listening to this process and reading, that maybe that's you, or maybe that's me, or, you know, you'll get something. It'll be the front door, the back door, the chimney, you know, the basement. One of these stories, one of these lines will come into you and say, oh, there it is. There it is. That's what more about alcoholism means. It means that there'll be one sentence that'll touch you, and you'll feel it. You'll say, yes, that's me too. So when I see myself as not different, I am like everyone here. I just operated without a solution. That's what this means. This is life without solution. And the opposite is me today, is doing this process is a solution. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be done. So it talks about the description of how, I'm going to talk about me, because this is all I know about. I don't really know about you guys. I might know a little bit about Denise, but, because she's my bud. But I don't know about how you guys process or what you think, so I can only go by myself. That talks about I need to be honest. To do this work, I need to be honest. What does that word mean? We're in more about alcoholism. It's describing to me that I was directly the opposite of that when I did this, before I did this work. I wasn't honest. I didn't know how to be honest. There was too much pain in being honest, because then you'd get to see who I really was. So I'd repeat the same actions over and over again, and maybe they'd have different faces. The man would have a different name. I'd have a different job. I would drink a different substance, but it would happen over and over again, and that's what the jaywalker means. The jaywalker, when I used to hear the story way back when, I used to go, it's so stupid. And then all of a sudden, one day, like I was describing a few seconds ago, you're sitting here and it goes boom, and it hits you. And you say to yourself, man, I finally get this. Spiritual experience. Click. It happens. And how does it happen? It's because I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm present. I'm not on my phone. I don't care if you're on your phone, by the way. But I am not on my phone. I'm not jamming to the person next to me. I'm not waiting to get out, and I'm not, thinking about my next thing. I'm here because I choose to be here. So the jaywalker is me. And I wrote next to the jaywalker, that's me mountain biking. Like, I'm a mountain biker, right? I pretend to be. And I've got hurt so many times because, I'm an alcoholic. I would ride my mountain bike, and I'd take these enormous things, and I would say, boy, there's something wrong with my brakes, but do I stop and check them? No! I just keep going, and then I end up getting hurt. But so we can laugh, and we can smile, but that's the process of more about alcoholism. It's trying to describe to me that I drank, I used people, I was sad, I was ashamed, but I didn't do anything about it. I just went like this. I'd do something else. I'd shift over to food, or I'd shift over to they didn't have Amazon back then, but I'd shift over to, buying, or I'd shift over to switching friends. I'd just change different friends. When you get too embarrassed with one set of friends, you just go to another set. So you just move it around. So it says, there's so much stuff in this chapter that I can't cover it all. But I'm just going to do my best. That I have no control whatever. I have no control whatever over the first drink. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a real alcoholic. I don't. So when they talk about that peculiar mental twist, they're like veiled warnings in here. They're saying, hey, listen, Deb, are you listening? Go to a meeting, practice, be on your knees, have humility, have the presence of God, work with your higher power, work with other women. Because in every interaction, whether I'm praying, whether I'm here, whether I'm writing my inventory, whether I'm working with a sponsee, God's coming in all over the place and talking to me through every interaction and letting me know, because isn't it funny when you have something creepy going on in your head, like you're, whatever, I'm not going to tell you, all my dirty thoughts, but when you have something going on and you find yourself like me, I'm judging, judge, bam, 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 shoes, coat, hair, bam, bam, bam. And, I'm just judging, right? Whatever I'm doing. And I'm going like this. What happens to me is God talks to me through inventory or through one of you guys or through a sponsee and says, the sponsee will say, I've been judging a lot. Oh, man. God's so good because I learned through my life, through interaction, through everything I do, that these are the peculiar twists that God's talking about to me. When I allow my behavior to shift off of neutral, off this path, I can feel it through my behavior, my activity. And then something will come up, or someone will either share at a meeting, or someone will talk to me, and it will come right at me. And I'll be like, oh, there you go. Have you ever done this? You say something about someone like, that shouldn't be done. And then 2 days later, you're writing inventory, and you realize you do it. Yes. That's the spiritual experience. Before I did this work, that's why we're talking more about alcoholism. It isn't just the booze. It is having this connection to this source and working this process so that when the stuff comes in, you don't go, you go, oh, yes, thank you. So that's the peculiar stuff we're talking about. So if you, if I ignore the messages from God that tell me, I've been judging, I've been buying too much, I've been gossiping, I've been not taking care of the vessel, okay? That I'm not practicing self-love, I'm practicing whatever I'm doing. They're trying to explain to us in here that this is the precursor of using. This is what happens. So they're using all different ways to describe it to us, you know. But what it is it's a gift. This chapter is a gift about I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to be connected to the source. Am I almost done?
It'll ring.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Talks about self-will. Self-will will fail. Me. My self-will will fail because if my brain said it was okay to shoot heroin, I'm going to use the same brain to tell me how to manage this disease. Right. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the program, sponsor, meditation, inventory, you guys, and that's going to keep me on the right path. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. So if we're planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind. No lurking notion that someday I can have a mimosa, or I have never had a Cosmo, or those other things that you drive down the road and you see them on the signs, whatever the different beers are with now different flavors. They didn't have any of those, hard cider and all that stuff. There's no lurking. There's nothing there. There's nothing there for me. I can never do it. I can't do anything. I don't even do caffeine. It says here, I always like to bring this up because it makes me laugh. I don't know if it's going to make you guys laugh. But it says here, potential female alcoholics. We turned to the real thing real fast. And I wrote next to it, bummer. Because why do we got to go down so fast? It doesn't matter. I did, and that's how it is. So I just, instead of, the chapter's trying to explain to me, instead of Deb trying to manage why, doesn't matter. I am a real alcoholic, so this is who I am. This is my gift. My gift is I have it written down right in front of me. I have you guys. The gift is I have awareness. And if I choose to use this gift, I can live in a happy way, not in a sad way, even in the middle of sad stuff, like I told you about my parents. And I'll give you an example. So I work in the emergency room, and it's I don't even have to describe that. It's what you think it is. And so I get out of work, and what do I used to do on a Friday night? I would get hammered, right? Get hammered and whatever else I do. But what did I do last night? And it's really cool. I went snowboarding. Okay, now, remember, you don't know, but I'm going to tell you. I used to be a big snowboarder. I used to snowboard 3-4 times a week. And so I opted to go cross-country skiing, and I stopped snowboarding 5 years ago for whatever reason. So this is a great program because I decided to go with a bunch of people last night, right? And there was so much humility about me going because I could barely do it. I used to be really good. More about alcoholism. I don't need to make excuses. I don't need to tell people, I got a bunion or, my back is out. I don't need to lie. I don't need to be somebody I'm not. I am a woman who was not so good last night. And guess what? I had such a blast. And the other part was even funnier was the part that my pants were so tight I could barely move. And that is something that is different from anything that I would have ever said out loud. I would never have allowed someone to see me not look good, not look right, not be put in perfect order. I just lie about everything. I'd lie about how I felt. I'd lie about how I did. I'd lie about why I wasn't doing well. And I don't have to do that. And that's what the book's describing. It's kind of a funny analogy, but that's how the book is describing in a very small second of my life how I could have just lied about all that stuff and made it nicey nice. Instead of giving you what the reality is I hadn't done it in a while. It says here, and I'm telling you this for a very particular reason, it says in the book that we felt like we had lots of character. We had tremendous urge to cease the drinking, the using, the sexting, the gambling, whatever we were doing. But we found it impossible. We couldn't do it, couldn't stop. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it, the utter inability to leave it alone. I'm describing being humbled, and I'm describing snowboarding, humbling. Okay, it's all connected. It's this one moment in time that I can choose to be really who I am and do the right thing that I want to do, or be someone else and start that peculiar mental twist and start lying about everything. They go through different people, Jim and Fred, to explain to us, to me, what it looks like when I don't tell the truth, when I manage my own will, when I try to twist things and make life work. Even no matter how hard I try, this is going to work. And that's what I did before this process, and that's what I do today for a very short time, and I pick it up in inventory. And I realized, oh, there you go, Deb. You are at it again. More about alcoholism, self-will. So I'm going to wrap it up because I know I must be close to the end.
I gave you 22 minutes, so you're still
20, okay.
You got 2 minutes left.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Unmanageability, self-knowledge, can't stop. I can't stop. So, that's not going to fix me is my self-knowledge. It's going to be this God consciousness. I love the way the book describes about this subtle insanity that precedes the first drink. What is subtle insanity? It's my mind. It's the subtle things coming out in my mind that precedes. That sounds like a good idea to shoot up some heroin and maybe do about, 6 cases of beer. That's what comes before that one thing you do. So we are here in this beautiful process of Alcoholics Anonymous through Big Book Step Study with all of our ammunition, which is each other. We have each other. You can call somebody. You can go to a meeting. You can call your sponsor. You can do your inventory. You can pray and meditate. You can be with people that are safe. So when you have that insane thought that comes in, just like they described, milk and booze and going into the bar and you haven't drank in so many years, but here you go. Before that happens, I know it's coming. I don't have a fear of relapse, but I know it's coming when I start to do things, like I said, judge, exaggerate, lie, don't keep my word, blow off an inventory, which I don't think I've done in a long time. Okay, now we're really going to wrap it up. Let's see. So at the very end it says they outline the spiritual answer and program, which is the 12 steps. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out the window. Whatever those conceptions are, they belong to you. My conceptions is that I can do it. I can do it by myself. Well, I can't. I can't do it by myself. I have to do it with this source, this God source. And that I acknowledge that it's not easy. Because it's not. I got to do this every single day, every second. But the moment I made up my mind to go through the process, and it's funny how they even call it the process, the 12 steps, working with a sponsor, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved. And it is, and it does. And it's a daily thing, but man, it works. It really, really works. Look at that. Almost quite as important was the discovery that the spiritual principles would solve all my problems. And that's what I want to end with. It would solve all my problems. The big, the little ones, the ones I make up, which are almost all of them. But, so thank you very much. That's it.